The aliens made the decision to eliminate humanity and claim Earth for themselves. Their first move was to destroy the moon. Jack Harper, walking through the streets of New York, spots a girl in the crowd. He feels a strong connection to her, even though he doesn't recall her name. She also recognizes him and smiles. Suddenly, Jack wakes up. It's the year 2077. 50 years ago, aliens attacked Earth, starting by obliterating the moon, which triggered catastrophic earthquakes and tsunamis. Within hours, they had decimated cities. The human survivors fought back with nuclear weapons, winning the war but rendering Earth uninhabitable due to radiation. A large space station called Tet was built as a temporary refuge, and humanity moved there, planning to eventually relocate to Saturn's moon, Titan. To do so, they must extract Earth's water to generate the energy needed for the new colony's survival. Jack and his partner Vika were deployed to Earth 5 years ago to protect the hydro platforms that extract water. Aliens still present on Earth try to sabotage the platforms, while Jack repairs the drones that defend them. Vika stays in communication with the command. Their assignment is set to end in 2 weeks, after which they'll return to Tet with the others. While Vika is excited, Jack is uncertain. Before their mission, their memories were wiped to prevent any information from falling into alien hands if captured. Yet Jack is haunted by fragments of memories from a past life. In the morning, Vika contacts their boss, Sally, as usual, while Jack, known by the call sign Technician 49, heads out to inspect the hydro platforms. 2 drones were damaged overnight, and Jack must find and repair them before evening. Jack exits his aircraft without a spacesuit, suggesting that Earth may not be as dangerous as they were led to believe. But then, why did humanity abandon it? Jack repairs one of the drones, and Vika, monitoring him through his camera, suddenly detects a nearby threat. It turns out to be a stray dog. The repaired drone, mistaking the dog for a threat, prepares to kill it, but Jack manages to scare the dog away by firing into the air. The drone scans Jack, identifying him as Technician 49. Had he been anyone else, the drone would have killed him. After finishing the repair, Jack takes a moment to admire the still beautiful landscape. He can't understand why humans should surrender Earth to the aliens. With his next task in mind, Jack sets off on his motorcycle across the post-apocalyptic wasteland in search of the second damaged drone, which he finds in a strange rift. Inside, Jack discovers an abandoned library. Jack picks up a faint drone signal, but it turns out to be a trap set by the aliens, known as scavengers. He narrowly escapes, but as he tries to climb out of the pit, his rope breaks and he falls back to the bottom. The scavengers, dressed in dark suits, surround him, but surprisingly, they don't attack. Just then, the repaired drone arrives and eliminates the scavengers. After the chaos, Jack finds a book titled Songs of Ancient Rome at his feet. He picks it up and climbs back to the surface, exhausted. Back at the hideout, he reads the book and gifts Vika a real flower from Earth. However, she coldly throws it off the tower, showing her disinterest in anything earthly. Though they live together as a couple, there is a clear lack of understanding between them. Jack cherishes Earth, while Vika is eager to return to Tet as soon as possible. At dinner, Jack realizes the scavengers in the library hadn't tried to kill him. It seems they wanted to capture him alive, but he doesn't know why. That night, Jack dreams once again of the mysterious woman from his past. His sleep is interrupted by a sudden explosion. One of the hydro platforms has been destroyed. Jack quickly boards his ship and flies to investigate, discovering that the scavengers were responsible and the platform is beyond repair. While investigating, he detects an outsider's signal coming from the ruins of the Empire State Building. As he approaches the source, he realizes the scavengers are transmitting coordinates to space. Despite finding only a desolate desert at the coordinates, Jack cuts the wires and stops the transmission. Instead of patrolling as he tells Vika, Jack secretly flies to a hidden oasis untouched by radiation. He's created a secluded hideaway by the lake, filled with items he's collected during his 5 years on Earth: books, records, and even a record player. Here, he listens to music, plays basketball, and takes comfort in this peaceful corner of the planet. After napping on the grass, Jack dreams again of standing atop the Empire State Building with the mysterious woman who calls out his name. Frustrated by his inability to meet her in real life, he is jolted awake by the loud crash of a spaceship falling from the sky. The crash site aligns with the scavengers' coordinates, so Jack heads there, despite being ordered by the command to return to base. Upon arrival, he finds no scavengers, only an Earth-built ship from before the war. Many of its passengers didn't survive the crash, but Jack discovers a few intact pods with people in stasis. To his shock, one of them is the woman from his dreams. At this moment, A drone arrives and begins firing at the capsules. Jack urgently contacts Vika, demanding she stop the attack on the survivors. However, it's not Vika giving the commands. Control of the drones has shifted back to their boss at Tet, with whom they had lost contact. The drone scans the girl, identifying her as an unknown entity, and is about to eliminate her. Acting quickly, Jack shields her with his body, saving her just in time. He loads her capsule onto his ship and brings her back to the base. Suddenly, the girl wakes up, recognizes Jack, and calls him by name before losing consciousness again. Confused, Jack and Vika place her in the medical compartment and monitor her condition. When she regains consciousness, the girl introduces herself as Julia. Upon learning that she is the only survivor, Julia is horrified and insists on returning to her wrecked ship. She explains that she was in Delta sleep for 60 years, leaving her disoriented. When Vika attempts to sedate her, Julia refuses the injection. During dinner, Jack tries to understand if Julia has any connection to the scavengers, especially since her ship landed at their coordinates. However, Julia reveals little, explaining that her mission was classified. Jack and Vika briefly update her on the alien attack and how Earth has changed over the past 60 years. Vika, growing increasingly possessive, hints that Jack is hers, a comment that makes Julia laugh. Later, a jealous Vika suggests sending Julia to Tet, subtly implying that she remembers Julia from somewhere but refuses to discuss it with Jack. She warns him that Julia might be an alien, given that her ship was heading towards scavenger coordinates. At dawn, Jack finds Julia in the hideout, eager to return to her ship to retrieve the flight recorder. Wanting answers, Jack agrees to accompany her without informing Vika, who is alarmed when she wakes to find them gone. At the crash site, Julia recovers the flight recorder, but Jack is suddenly ambushed by scavengers. They knock him out, blindfold him, and drag him away. Meanwhile, hiding her anxiety, Vika contacts Commander Sally and calmly requests that a drone be sent to the crash site, lying that Jack went on patrol and hasn't checked in. Reluctantly, Sally agrees, and a drone is dispatched to track Jack's DNA. Jack wakes up in a dark room, hearing an unfamiliar voice quoting from the book he found in the library. He is puzzled. How does the scavenger know about the book, and why does he sound human? It turns out that the scavengers are not aliens, but humans. Their leader, Malcolm, explains that the drones are programmed to kill them. The survivors have been hiding for decades, and things haven't improved. They decoded the signal from Julia's ship and helped it land, removing the nuclear reactor. They also captured a drone, hoping to reprogram it and use it to send a nuclear bomb to destroy Tet. But only Jack can work with the drone, which is why they brought him here. Despite the pressure, Jack refuses to help blow up Tet. Malcolm's assistant tries to force him, even injuring Jack in the process, but Jack remains defiant. The scavengers then threaten Julia, prompting Jack to plead for her safety. At that moment, a drone, tracking Jack's DNA, locates the scavengers' hideout. Though they manage to destroy it, they know more drones will soon follow. With no other option, Malcolm allows Jack and Julia to leave. Before they go, he advises Jack to visit the radioactive zone if he wants to uncover the truth about his past and understand what's really going on. Jack and Julia drive to the Empire State Building to send a signal to Vika. Relieved that Jack has been found, Vika dispatches a rescue ship. Meanwhile, Julia attempts to jog Jack's memory, reminding him that 60 years ago, before the war, a team of astronauts, including herself, Jack, and Vika, was sent into space to investigate a foreign object, which turned out to be Tet. Jack and Vika were woken up, while the others, still in cryosleep, were returned to Earth's orbit. Jack is stunned by the revelation. Julia recalls a date they had at the Empire State Building, where Jack proposed to her, and she still wears the ring around her neck. Jack remembers and embraces her. As the rescue ship approaches, Vika watches their reunion through the video feed. Hurt and jealous, she refuses to let Jack back into the shelter and angrily reports to command that he has found a survivor and is no longer fulfilling his duties. Unwittingly, Vika triggers the base's self-destruct mechanism. Jack tries to explain the truth about Tet, but Vika doesn't believe him. Just then, a drone arrives and kills Vika. Julia shoots the drone before it can eliminate Jack as well. Jack rushes to the communications point, where Commander Sally, with a casual tone, invites him to Tet, asking him to bring Julia along. Sally dismisses Vika's death as a mere accident, but Jack no longer trusts Tet's command. The couple escapes in a ship, pursued by drones sent by Sally. Jack barely manages to destroy the drones, but their ship crashes into the radioactive zone and is badly damaged. Jack wakes up in the desert, spotting smoke from the wrecked drones nearby. A ship approaches, and to his shock, he encounters a clone of himself. It turns out that the radioactive zones are meant to keep the clones apart. Jack is Clone 49, while his counterpart is Clone 52. Julia arrives, and Clone 52 recognizes her as well. A fight breaks out between the two Jacks, and during the struggle, Julia is accidentally injured. Jack 49 neutralizes Clone 52 and disables the attacking drone. He hides the wounded Julia in a sand cave and flies to Clone 52's base to retrieve medical supplies. At the base, Jack meets another clone of Vika, who greets him warmly and kisses him. Playing along, Jack takes the medical device and returns to Julia, healing her. He brings her to the lake house, where she wakes up and explores the place. Jack is deeply confused by everything that's happened, but realizes one thing with certainty: he loves Julia. She feels the same, recognizing the man she once loved, and they spend the night together at the secluded house. The next morning, Jack understands that to protect Julia and end the nightmare, he must help the rebels destroy Tet. He promises Julia that they will return to the lake house once it's over. The couple returns to the rebel base, where Malcolm is pleased that Jack now fully grasps Tet's threat and is ready to take action. Jack begins reprogramming a drone, while Malcolm explains how, 60 years ago, the takeover of Earth began. After the destruction of the moon, some humans survived, but soon thousands of Jack clones arrived from Tet to annihilate the remaining population. The drones and technicians, all Jack clones, were tasked with extracting Earth's water, leaving the planet barren. Malcolm notes that Jack 49 was different, as his humanity surfaced when he saved Julia. The real Jack had always been there, deep inside the clone. Finally, the drone is ready, armed with a nuclear bomb to destroy Tet. Malcolm had hoped to go on this mission himself, but it's a one-way trip. Just as they prepare for launch, Tet drones, sent by Clone Vika from Base 52, storm the rebel base. In the ensuing battle, Jack and the rebels barely manage to fend them off, but the reprogrammed drone is destroyed, and Malcolm is gravely wounded. With the plan in jeopardy, Jack realizes that Tet might not allow him near if it detects any threat. Julia offers to accompany him, reasoning that Tet had specifically asked Jack to bring the survivor. Together, they prepare for their final mission to destroy the alien station. Jack carefully places Julia into her sleep pod to avoid raising any suspicions as they approach Tet. The couple shares a heart-wrenching farewell, knowing that after the explosion, they won't be able to live out their dreams together. They promise to meet in their dreams, and as Julia softly whispers Jack's name, she drifts off to sleep. Jack secures the capsule in his ship, grabs an old flight recorder, and heads toward Tet. As Jack activates the 60-year-old recorder, memories of their past flight come flooding back. He recalls being the commander, with Vika as his assistant, and Julia in Delta sleep alongside the other astronauts. Jack had maintained communication with Sally from the command post on Earth, and their mission was to explore Tet while keeping a safe distance. However, things took a turn when Tet's gravitational pull unexpectedly drew their ship in. To protect the sleeping astronauts, Jack detached Julia's sleeping module, intending for it to return to Earth's orbit for retrieval. Meanwhile, Jack and Vika were caught inside Tet. The recording cuts off at this point. Now in the present, Jack approaches Tet and announces that he has brought a survivor, following orders. He is granted access to the station, where he observes numerous tanks filled with clones of himself and Vika suspended in liquid. He lands near a massive pyramidal structure, the core of Tet, which has been communicating with him all along. Sally is nowhere to be found. Her image was merely an artificial construct created for interaction. When Jack opens the capsule, he's shocked to find not Julia, but a severely injured Malcolm, who is determined to witness Tet's destruction. At the same time, Julia awakens in her capsule back on Earth, in the lake house. She realizes that Jack has once again saved her. Meanwhile, a swarm of drones heads toward the rebel base on Earth, where people prepare to defend against the assault. Jack curses the situation, but they activate the bomb with Malcolm, leading to the explosion of Tet. The drones on Earth lose their commands and shut down. The inhabitants of Earth watch in relief as the hated Tet is destroyed, while Julia mourns the loss of Jack. 3 years pass, and life on Earth has settled into peace. Julia raises her and Jack's daughter at the lake house when, unexpectedly, a group of survivors appears on the opposite shore. Among them is Jack 52, who has spent 3 years reclaiming memories of his past life and has found the home built by another Jack and his family.